Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Our praise belongs to Allah. We ask Allah to raise the rank of and grant peace to the Prophet Muhammad, our messenger, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Our praise belongs to Allah, and may Allah raise the rank and status and grant peace and security to our Prophet Muhammad and his family and his companions, wa atba'ihi, and his followers, ila yawm ad-din, up until the day of judgment. Wa sallama tasliman kathira. Amma ba'du. We continue today, which is the 9th day of Shawwal, before Salat al-Maghrib. And when Maghrib arrives, we'll be in the 10th night of Shawwal. Here with our brothers from the Shabab in our series of classes pertaining good character and good manners. This class is about good character and good manners. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ, that the entire reason that I was sent was to complete good character, was to perfect and complete good character. The entire reason Allah sent me was to complete and perfect good character. The whole religion is about character, how a person is with Allah, how a person is with their parents, how a person is with their teachers, how a person is with their friends, how a person treats other people, and whether they treat people in a way that they would like to be treated, and whether they treat people in a way that they would like for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to deal with them. So the subject matter of good character is one of the most important things in the religion, and it is built upon a principle that was stated by the Prophet ﷺ in a hadith collected by Imam Muslim, hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr. But the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Man arada an yuzahzaha an an-nar wa yudkhala al-jannah." Whoever would like to be made to be far away from the hellfire, whoever would like that he is placed far away from hell by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wa yudkhala al-jannah, and entered into paradise, فَأَنْ تَأْتِيهِ مَنِيَّتُهُ, then he needs to make sure that when he dies, وَهُوَ يُؤْمِنُ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ, that he believes in Allah on the day of judgment, وَلِيَأْتِيَ لِلنَّاسِ الَّذِي يُحِبُّ أَنْ يُؤْتَى إِلَيْهِ, and let him deal with people like he would like for them to deal with him. Let him treat people like he would like for them to treat him. And this is the way that a person is saved in this world and the hereafter, and protected from everything that is terrifying in this world and the hereafter. That he lives his life, and that when he reaches the end of his life, that for the duration of his life he believed in Allah, and he treated people in a way that he would like to be treated. And he treated people in a way that he would like to be treated. We want to memorize, before getting into our larger lesson about character, we want to memorize a definition that one of the early scholars gave to good character. And it is the statement of the Imam Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak. And if you don't write it, then you won't memorize it. And if you don't memorize it, then you won't know it when it comes time for the test. He said about good character, and this statement is found in the Jami' of al-Tirmidhi. It is found, collected by al-Tirmidhi, al-Imam al-Tirmidhi, in his book of hadith. He said, "Husnul khuluq," the good character is kafful adha wa badlul nada wa talaqatul wajh. It is withholding harm from people. The first thing, there's three things. The first thing is that you prevent yourself from harming anyone. You prevent yourself, you stop yourself from harming anyone. You withhold, prevent, stop yourself from harming anyone. You don't have to write it exactly, write it in a way that you remember. Write it in your own words, because it's a translation, so you translate my words in a way that you understand. كَفُّ الْأَذَى, that you withhold from harming or abusing or annoying people. It's the first thing. Second thing, وَبَذْلُ النَّدَى, and that you show a high level of generosity for people. That you withhold from harming other people, that you stop yourself from hurting anyone or harming anyone. Second thing is that you give a strong effort in showing kindness and generosity to people. Things like sharing, giving people gifts, doing what your parents ask of you. These sorts of things. I mean, that you show generosity and kindness to people. And the third thing, طلاقة الوجه, that you have a happy face. That you have a happy face. That you walk around with a pleasant face. Right? These three things are the basis, the pillars of good character. The least thing that a person can do, if they can't do anything else, is they can make sure that they don't hurt anybody. If they don't have any way to benefit people, which is the second thing, then they can make sure they do that first thing, which is what? To withhold from hurting people. It doesn't take an effort not to hurt people. It takes an effort to do things to hurt people and to annoy people and to bother people, right? So it doesn't take any effort not to do something. The second thing is that a person shows generosity to other people, that they do whatever they can to benefit other people. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, خَيْرُكُمْ أَنْفَعُكُمْ لِلنَّاسِ, that the best of you are those that are most beneficial to other people. Those that are most beneficial to other people. And this is something that if you learn while you're young, it will benefit you greatly throughout your life if you make it your habit to do everything in your ability to be of a benefit to other people, to be of a benefit to whoever you come around, to be of a benefit at home with your parents. You have something to write with, Abu Bakr? You have a notebook? Okay. Does everybody have something to write with? You have? There you go. You don't have anything to write with? Would you like something to write with? Alhamdulillah. You mind sitting up here with us? You're all the way there in the back. We can't see you. Alhamdulillah. Who you got with you? Dean? Ziyad and Dean. Come on. Come sit next to me, inshallah. Sit over there. MashaAllah. You want something to write with? Can somebody give him something to write with? Actually, whose notebook is this? Does anybody know? You have an extra pencil? Get the pencil from Abdul Rahman. Barakallahu feekum. Can you tear him out a piece of paper? Good enough. Here, just use this piece of paper, Ziyad. Use that piece of paper, and just use the notebook to write on. Okay. Okay. Masoud, welcome. So we said there are three things to good character. The most important thing is that a person doesn't do anything to hurt anybody else. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, اضمن لي ستا من أنفسكم أضمن لكم الجنة. Guarantee 6 things from yourselves and I'll guarantee paradise for you. Guarantee 6 things from yourself, I'll guarantee paradise for you. اصدقوا إذا حدثتم. And be truthful when you speak. وأوفوا إذا أحدتم. And fulfill and you have integrity when you have an agreement to do something. Do what you agree to do. وَأَدُّوا إِذَا أَتُمِنْتُمْ. When you have a trust, then carry out your trust. وَاحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَكُمْ وَغُضُّوا أَبْصَارَكُمْ. And protect yourself from, protect your chastity, if you know what that means. وَغُضُّوا أَبْصَارَكُمْ. And lower your eyes from looking at anything haram. وَكُفُّوا أَيْدِيَكُمْ. And withhold your hands from hurting anybody. And withhold your hands from hurting anybody. So a person doesn't want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or they have hurt anybody, they have oppressed anybody, or they have used their hand. We don't want you to write all 6 of those things down. We're using that as a point. Alhamdulillah. Part of note-taking is knowing what to write and what not to write. You're not going to be asked about every word that I say, inshallah. A person doesn't want to meet Allah where they're in a condition where they've hurt anyone. And they don't want to meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a situation where they've hurt themselves. And part of stopping yourself from hurting anyone is to stop yourself from hurting yourself. Hamza, how can a person hurt themselves? Besides things like banging their head into a wall or something silly.
I mean, it could be physical or like mentally, I guess.
Mentally or spiritually.
Yeah.
Right? Like how?
Well, maybe you can like cause something to happen, like you call somebody like a bad name, and then like this group of friends will try to like bully you, like for example.
That's a complicated answer, but that's a good try. How can a person hurt himself? How can a person hurt himself? Something, it's a lot easier answer. What's probably an easier answer than that? Malik. How can a person yeah, that's one way. Huh? Raise your voice. Trip and fall. That's how he could hurt himself. All these are ways a person can hurt himself. Hamza. By lying. That's a great answer. That's a great answer. Because which of these things happens more often? That a person trips and falls, that a person picks a fight with some people he shouldn't have picked a fight with, like Hamza said. And his friends all come back and, give him a good beat down, other things. That a person, it does something that Allah has forbidden them from doing. And that's what hurts people more than anything. People hurt themselves more than they hurt other people. People hurt themselves by disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because everything that we do, there are consequences for. Right? And so, part of good character is to stop yourself from hurting anyone. And the biggest someone that you don't want to hurt is yourself. Right? You don't want to hurt yourself. And the greatest way that people hurt themselves is by being disobedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second part of good character was what? Show a high level of generosity, right? Or in other words, do whatever you can to be of a benefit. Do whatever you can to be of a benefit. And then the third thing was what? Have a happy or pleasant face. Right? Hudayfa has no problem with that. Alhamdulillah, have a pleasant face. Have a pleasant face. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, لا تحقرن من المعروف شيئا ولو أن تلقى أخاك بوجه طلق. Don't look at anything that's a good deed to be something small. Even if it's something as simple as smiling in the face of your brother. It doesn't take any effort to smile on somebody's face. Or maybe if you was like in pain or something like that and you need to take an Advil, it might take an effort to smile on somebody's face. But in general, it doesn't take an effort to smile. Right? It's not difficult to smile. And so these are three things that are part of good character, or that are some of the pillars of good character of how we treat other people. And so keep them in your notes, and this is a important benefit that we're going to ask you about in another session, inshallah. We're going to quiz you over. I want to read something over the next 5-10 minutes or so about how to have good character with a person that deserves the best manners from you, which is who? Who deserves that you show them the best character? Huh? Your parents. Your parents. So we're going to read a list of things, important things, that one of our mashayikh, one of our scholars, put together 35 things that he mentions. We're not going to mention 35 things today, but in the course of over the next few sittings, inshallah, we'll try to cover most of them. And we want you to keep them in your notes. We want you to do two things with what you hear. How many of you here have a brother or sister that's here? So we want you to do two things, right? The first thing is that what you hear from this list of things of how to treat your parents, we want you to do your best to act upon. We want you to do your best that when you go home, that you practice these things that you hear. The second thing is that we want you to check your siblings, to hold each other to task, to remind your brothers and sisters that are here or that aren't here when they are doing something that's against these things that we're going to mention about good treatment of the parents, and to remind each other that this is something that is improper in our treatment of our parents, and mistreating our parents is something that Allah hates. And it can bring about Allah being displeased with us, and so it's a dangerous thing. The first thing we could talk for the next 10-15 minutes about. The first thing that the Shaykh mentions, and if you want the name of the Shaykh for your notes, is Fawaz al-Madkhali. Fawaz al-Madkhali. Fawaz al-Madkhali. The first thing that the Shaykh mentions is to close your cell phone or tablet or whatever device you may have when you are sitting with your parents. If you are sitting with your parents, if you are in the company of your parents, or if you are in front of your parents, to close your cell phone, turn it off. There's a research paper that was written by some researchers. Researchers write research papers. That said that the average person in America spends at least 4 hours a day in front of a cell phone screen or a tablet screen or a laptop screen or something like that. At least 4 hours a day. And they said that if a person starts doing that as a child, that by the time they live their entire life, that they will have spent 11 years in front of a screen, staring at a screen. Can you imagine 11 years of staring at a screen being shown to you on the Day of Judgment when the angels show you what you did with your life? That you spent 11 years just staring at a piece of plastic, right? When we deal with other people, especially with our parents, then there's a concept in Islam that's called genuineness, as-sidq. As-sidq in Islam. Any person having good dealings with other people and genuineness in their dealings with other people. And the scholars, they say that there are two things involved. If a person wants to deal with other people like they would like to be treated, there are two things that are involved. The first thing is that a person is focused and not distracted. The Prophet ﷺ, if he was sitting, having a discussion with somebody, from his etiquettes is that he would turn his body to face the person that he was sitting with. And from his etiquettes is that when another person came up and tried to speak to him while the Prophet ﷺ was speaking to another person, that the Prophet ﷺ would ignore that person. And he would focus on the person that he was sitting with. Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said, أَعَزُّ النَّاسِ عَلَيَّ جَلِيسِي. The most important person to me is the person who has taken out time to sit with me. The person who was sitting with me, having a discussion with me, a conversation with me, is the most important person to me. This is the manners of a Muslim and sitting with anybody. Etiquettes for sitting, etiquettes for congregating, for coming together, for sitting together. Etiquettes for sitting together. If you were sitting there, Mas'ud, right now, with a cell phone popping bubbles or flicking pigs at Angry Birds or something like that, not to single you out, Mas'ud, right? I would say that you don't have the proper etiquettes for this sitting. You don't have the right manners for this sitting here, right? That's not good manners when you sit to learn, right? And so your parents also have a great right when you sit with them, right? They have a great right when you sit with them that you focus, that you're not distracted. And that you do the second thing that he mentions here, which is التفاعل مع حديثهم, that you're interactive in their conversation. It means if your parents say something to you, that you are listening to what they said before, and they address you or something of the sort, and that you interact in the conversation. That you interact in the conversation. If they say something to you, that you respond, you're not caught off guard. How many times does a person say something to the child, and the child is sitting there the whole time, and what does the child say? Huh? Huh? Yeah, where you at? You focus when you're sitting with your parents. When you're sitting with your parents, right, and they're speaking in a conversation that includes you, pay attention. Pay attention to what is being said in a family conversation. When your parents are speaking about something that doesn't concern you, then you shouldn't pay too much attention to what they're saying if you are very young. If you are an older age and you are expected to listen and to be paying attention, then you should pay attention. So these are the first two things. If you have a device, close the device. And the second thing, I skipped ahead a little. The second thing is al-insatu li hadithihim. That when your parents are speaking, then be quiet. When your parents are speaking, then be quiet in their presence. Don't interrupt them. This is something, especially as you get older, that you should learn, because you've been hearing it for many, many years. So by the time you're 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, you should know not to interrupt your parents when they're speaking. Not to interrupt your parents when they're speaking. Right? It's different when your 3-year-old brother or sister or 4-year-old brother or sister spends the entire time that your mother and father are talking to each other saying, Mom, 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 never dead, but Mom, 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 right? But if you're at your age here, the age that you are now, you should know by now that that's not good manners with your parents. That you should listen and be quiet. And if it's a conversation that they're having, that is something you could benefit from, and that's not a private conversation, that you should be quiet and listen. The third thing is that you should try, and you're dealing with your parents, you should try your best to accept whatever opinion they have about anything. If they give you their opinion about something, you should make an effort to agree with them and not disagree with them. This is the basis of any relationship of any people, is to try to be agreeable to the best of your ability. Now, don't try to find a reason that what your parent is saying is wrong or incorrect, or why you have a better opinion about the thing or so on and so forth. Don't try to argue with your parents or disagree with them. That's bad manners in dealing with anyone. That's bad manners in dealing with anyone, let alone your parents. A person who's always disagreeable, nobody's going to want to be their friend. Nobody's going to want to be around them. And you will be difficult to be around. You'll be difficult to be around. And if you do that a lot when you're young, you're going to grow up to be a difficult person. And you're going to be a headache for the people that are around you when you get older. So try your best to accept the opinions of your parents. The fifth thing is to look directly at your parents with humility. And when your parents are speaking to you, to look at your parents in a way that's humble. As opposed to what? As opposed to looking at your parents with a dirty look or a mean look or an angry look. If you're upset about something and you look at your parents while you're upset about something that they did or said, even if you don't say anything, they're going to know. They're going to know because they know you maybe better than you know yourself. They know you very, very well. So if you're angry and you give your parents a look, then how you feel is going to be shown on your face. And this is for mistreatment of the parents. This is considered bad treatment of parents, that you give your parents a dirty look. You should look at your parents with humility. You should look humbly at your parents. No matter how old you are, if you're grown and you have your own children, you should look with humility at your parents. These etiquettes that we're hearing here are for people of all ages, no matter how young or how old a person is. So we'll stop with these first five for the time being, and we'll take a 5-minute break. 5 minutes. How many? 5-minute break. Get comfortable, get some water, stretch your legs, and meet back here in 5 minutes, and we're going to begin with the stories of the prophets. Any questions? Good character. It's a topic. Mondays, the first class is good character. Okay. 4 minutes. It's an article. By Fawaz al-Madkhali. It's called 35 Manners in Dealing with the Parents. 35 Manners in Dealing with the Parents. And how many did we go over? 5.
I can't remember where, but I remember hearing that the Prophet said, if you look